Where's my purse? Welcome to the Chaos Lovelies. So, I have finally started the assessment process. It took me forever just to find somebody that would fit my criteria and who also offered a set low price per session because nobody that would get back to me takes my insurance. I swear, taking care of your mental health should not be this difficult or this cost prohibitive. Even the low price that I have to pay for this is too much, honestly, and I am looking at a minimum of 3 sessions. Probably more. That's a lot. In my dream world, the government would suddenly decide to put a fraction of our military budget into nationwide programs for, social work and mental health care. I think it would help a ton. But, dream world only, unfortunately. But anyway, I finally had my first session, and I was insanely nervous beforehand. I had to once again go through all of my old bullshit with somebody new, and part of me was kind of convinced that she would somehow think that I was lying about everything, probably because no one has ever believed me outright when I've said this. Like, not a single person. Except my oldest kid, because he has ADHD and has read up on it, and he was like, yeah. Like, duh. Anyway, I was worried for no reason. None of that happened. I can't say that it was a fun, comfortable experience, but she was super nice, and I felt fine talking to her. Going back over some of that stuff was crazy painful, like stuff that I thought I had kind of gotten past. I guess admitting it to someone else other than, my OG therapist who's been there for the last 5 years. It was just super confronting. But she did believe me. In fact, she had me do a few extra assessments just to be sure about a couple of things, and it was very validating. And then I also struggle to feel validated, or when I'm feeling validated. I really hate my brain sometimes. I know I've said it on here before, but I think some of you probably get it. So annoying. So the extra testing is the reason I have to have another intake session. We went over as it was, and it's totally worth it. I just want to know. We did finish the OCD one, and I'm not OCD. That one I kind of knew already. I don't have most of the criteria for that. And we're pretty much done with the bipolar one, and it's not that either, which is kind of a relief. There were definitely some questions about that one, and I'm happy to have a definite nope. And I don't know why it's such a relief, honestly. I don't mean any judgment towards anyone with bipolar. It just seems so incredibly difficult, and I guess I'm just glad that that's not what I'm up against. I got enough stuff going on. So in the next session, we are going to be moving toward the ADHD and autism assessments, and this is where I have some definite questions. I'm pretty sure about the ADHD. It's very obvious, and I just really need the official diagnosis. Again, I'm not entirely sure why I need this so badly, but I do. Then there's autism, and this one I'm very interested to see what happens. And I'm struggling because a lot of it makes sense to me, but then I also have these deep internal issues that were put into my brain just relentlessly during my childhood. And I did get away, and I became more open-minded, but there's still some of that in my brain. I can still hear the R word said with just such hatred and such mocking. And I don't know if that's ever going to go away. So I guess that's part of my tapestry of self-hatred. I've always kind of had an idea that I was different in some way. I mean, I knew I was. Everyone made sure I knew. But I did kind of wonder about this a while ago. But I kind of pushed it off to the side. I didn't really start considering it until my kid brought it up to me. He thought I might be. And I'm pretty sure he is too. He and I are super similar, and we both meet a lot of the criteria. I don't know. I just have to wait and see, and probably wait a while. I had to schedule my next session out a few weeks, and I also have to pay per session, But I think I know what she's going to say. And it will be major validation. Honestly, my whole life would make so much more sense. Like it already does with the ADHD, but if there's autism too, that kind of just fills out the rest. And maybe that's why I need to do this, and that's why I need to have these diagnoses. I have had such a narrow view of my life for so long. I have known almost nothing about myself and who I am as a person, as an individual. And I think I just want a more complete picture. I want a fuller understanding of who I am now and where I came from, and kind of what's at the heart of everything. I don't know. Okay, that's enough heavy shit for today. So my quest for a neuro-spicy friendly job continues. I just applied for something that sounds kind of like a childhood dream, a library clerk. I used to dream of being a librarian, and it is definitely my vibe. This job also involves doing kids programming and story time. And honestly, I do kind of miss working with kiddos. And this seems like a really nice, chill way to do that again, without too much pressure. I don't know. I have an interview for it next week, but I am hopeful. It's also like barely a job as far as hours and pay go, but it's a start. It's embarrassing to say, but I do struggle to like be out in the world, and I think this would be a nice, easy way to acclimate a little more. I'm also going to be offering a class starting in November that is a blend of gentle movement and like yoga and stretching. One for adults and then one as part of an after-school program once a week. So I'm definitely going to be interacting with a lot more people, and I'm kind of excited about it. I've been very boring and very just kind of doing my own thing for a long time. So it'll be fun to share some time with other people and, do some moving again. I love dance. I love incorporating dance into my life, and I think this is going to be a really fun way to do it. Plus, I love yoga, and I need to stretch. I am a mess right now. And, I think for now that is plenty, along with podcasting, graphic design, and writing a new book or two. I always have an unending list of projects. And if you're ADHD, you probably do too. And probably a bunch of like half-finished or started and dropped projects, because haven't we all just done a million of them? I have been podcasting for a while now. If you haven't had a chance yet, you should check out my other podcast. It's called M's Books and Cats Podcast. And I chat about books that I've read, writing, and funny stories about my cats. Sometimes cool cat facts, too. I've learned some stuff making this podcast. It's kind of neat. It's a fun show, and, occasionally I share my writing on there as well. So if you want some free stories, go binge back episodes of my podcast. And speaking of writing, it is one of the things that I do daily that brings me joy pretty consistently. I write books and plays, and I love that I get to exercise my creativity. I also write blogs about mental health and health challenges, and just more of my ADHD foibles. And that kind of helps me process what I'm going through and, share with other people and hopefully connect in that way and help support others in that way. And finally, I journal. I have written in a diary or a journal ever since I was a child. Like maybe I started around 8, I think. And I never really questioned it. I just always had this need to write and write and write and write. Plus, I was so repressed as a kid and as a teenager that I kind of had to have an outlet of some kind, and it had to be a silent one. And it definitely has served its purpose over the years. I started out using it as a tool in therapy, and it honestly helped me sort out my thoughts a ton. But lately, I've been in this weird mood, and I just haven't been able to put anything down. Like, I'll sit down to write something, I'll write maybe a sentence, and then I've just got nothing, and I just don't feel like doing it. And that's so not me, you know? I'm not sure what's going on there. I feel kind of like there is just a wall between me and my emotions. And that is something that I've always kind of wanted because my emotions have always been so on the surface and like too accessible. But I don't know. Right now it doesn't extend past my journaling. Like I'm still very emotional in other aspects of life. So it's not really helping me in any way. So that's how it's been until today. I have gone back to my therapist. We worked out some of the previous issues, and I need someone to talk to right now. I am in somewhat of a difficult position and kind of a lonely one. Normally, I enjoy my solitude, but lately, I just kind of wish I had anyone that cared, you know? But anyway, we had a great session today, and she gave me a specific prompt to journal. And I did do it. It didn't come out like a free write, like it usually would, but it came out in these like little chunks of thought that I kind of scattered all over the page. And it's messier than I'd like, but I did manage to journal. And it did help me sort out a couple of things, at least a little bit. It's a start, and I'll take it. It's the closest thing to hope I've had in a little while. I was doing really well with healing for a while, and it is time to get back to that. I think I needed a little time to process my growth so far, and I think sometimes in processing, we can take a couple steps backwards. It is a cha-cha after all. But now I think I'm ready for a little more. So that is all for this episode, lovelies. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope that you can write out your feelings and feel them and celebrate them. I hope you find something that fulfills you, and I hope you have some hobbies that free you. And of course, I hope you find your purse.
A Frap Media production.